Mind Over Matter podcast is sponsored by Village Blinds. Village Blinds is an independent, family-owned business with branches in East Kilbride, Bells Hill and Clarkston. With over 30 years experience, their mission is simple: to provide each and every one of their customers with the highest quality blinds at an affordable price. Check out Village Blinds on Facebook.
Good evening and welcome to Mind Over Matter. I'm delighted to be joined by my great friend, my brother from another mother, Mr. Paul Hayden. How are we from Manchester, all the way from sunny Manchester?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jay. And it is actually sunny in Manchester, although you might find that hard to believe. The sun it's a beautiful evening here in Manchester, Jay, and it's been miserable for the last few days. So, yeah, for a change, we've got sunshine in Manchester.
Brilliant, mate. And we're the same up here in Glasgow and East Kilbride as well. So, let's get to the bottom of this. How did we meet? Where did it all start? With Jay and Not So Silent Bob? Because this is like mad how we met, and obviously a lot of things that were happening in our lives were kind of happening at the same time. So we went on an enlightenment journey to Loch Lomond. So Paul, can you introduce yourself, mate, and let the people know who you are and what you do?
Well, maybe what I've done.
What you've done.
So I'm also known as Bob from Dark City, Dark City Projects, which started some time ago with the free food system aquaponics, which was developed. The Bell Siphon really was developed by myself. And if you look at hydroponics now, it's all over the internet, all over. But back then, there was me and one other guy who was actually doing it. We set up Dark City Radio after we'd been, or myself, I'd done a few shows on CMR Radio, that's Critical Mass Radio, and then Revolution Radio in the United States. After we did a land grab in Tameside here to grow fruit and vegetables. That led on to the Compassion Club, which sent me to Spain for 8-9 years, where I was working with people with terminal cancer using cannabis oil, THC cannabis oil, full FECO extracted oil. I kind of slowed down a little bit, Jay. I kind of crashed and hit rock bottom a while back. I went back to some esoterical teachings that I'd learned prior to all that from John Armitage, who's the founder of the Shambhala Foundation. And I got back on my path pretty damn quick. Went to a few recovery rooms, self-help groups and stuff like that. I'm a great believer in, if you're going to put yourself, you've got to do the work, you know. I was addicted to pharmaceuticals. I've been clean of all pharmaceuticals now for over 13 years, due to being prescribed by Harold Shipman, no less. Pretty well-known guy. But I'm hoping now, Jay, I'll have more of a claim to fame knowing you than being prescribed by Harold Shipman, you know. I've had quite an eventful life so far. I really have, Jay. And now we have just launched Dark City TV, which we always wanted to do 4 days ago.
Paul, can you tell us a wee bit about Dark City? Because it was massive, wasn't it?
The radio, Dark City Radio, it got very quick. UK's fastest growing and largest independent stream. And I do believe that still stands. I don't think anybody's actually topped that yet. But it's a bit like being a prize fighter, you know, Jay. You've only got to win that one. And once you've got it, you've got it. Somebody else has got to come along and beat it. And in all fairness, it's very difficult now to how it was back in 2013. We did it with non-corporate based. So we wanted to do TV, as I say, but it was too expensive to host the video streaming, so we stuck with radio, and yeah, it was pretty big. Again, well, all I can say is feeders. I call them feeders. People who get in there, they haven't got the right attitude, they haven't got the right motivation, they're not there for the right reasons, and of course we were new to it. We didn't know, and slowly but surely it got took apart from the inside. It really did. What is good though, Jay, I'm back with some of the same original people now who set up Dark City right at the beginning. So yeah, it's I don't know, man. It feels like I've rebooted and I'm actually starting again with the knowledge and with those lessons of those mistakes.
Let's talk about that reboot, because obviously when you come up here in Scotland, you know, you reached out to me and we connected straight away. And tell the guys about your magical journey.
Well, it was the first phone call, really, wasn't it, Jay? Yeah. It was a bit crazy. I'd been into a few recovery groups and people had said, you need to do this. You need to do it. You know, I've had a few really good friends around me who said, you've got this, Paul. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, I just didn't get it. And I'm still not quite sure what they're talking about. So, yeah, I did reach out to you, Joe. Excuse me, Jay. And a few I did reach out to you, Jay. And we had a telephone conversation, which, I don't know, it was pretty mind-blowing, wasn't it, fella? The amount of information we were swapping between one another. And that led me to drive up to see you. I have a camper van, so it's easy for me. I've had a lot of mobility problems in the past, which I'm getting better with every day. And yeah, we actually went on, all I can call it is a shamanic journey around Loch Lomond. Brains over brawn. Hey, Jay, it was brains over brawn, wasn't it? You were the brawn and I was the brain. I was cheating, you know.
But yeah, I mean, the journey was fantastic. We had a lot of good conversations, you know, about what you want to do with your life, where I want to go with mine, you know. So can you tell the viewers what we really discovered up there, what you discovered when you came here and as we spoke, Paul?
Well, I mean, there was a lot. It's hard to just say that, you know, and pick out one point of it. That I had to kind of kick my ass into gear, really, that I have got work to do here. I've kind of been successful in most things that I've done. I really have. And now it was kind of like to be me, for success for me, what I wanted to do, fulfill my dream, if you like, Jay. And like say, will it be the Dark City TV? Well, it was something we didn't finish. And it would be good to get that going, the ideology of the people's voice. But what sticks with me more than anything was one little bit as we were riding back to the camper at Loch Lomond, and that was maybe not for our children, but for our children's children. We'll be able to learn without trauma, learn without pain, learn without war and disruption in the life. And I do think I think we're very close to that point in the world now. And I think we will see amazing advancements mentally, physically, and emotionally with the people of Earth. And maybe I'm just a bit of a dreamer and I'm a hoper, but I do think it's a very worthwhile position to be putting ourselves in. Man, I think that's what sticks with me more than anything. That we have the opportunity now to learn, not from a trauma base.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And we were putting the world to rights, man. Like the conversations we were having. Obviously, I went in quite in depth about my own trauma to Paul, and Paul told me a lot about his own life, and we really connected, you know, through that. And it's phenomenal what ideas we were coming up with, and you know, we were talking about cannabis oil. And can you tell the viewers out there about your experience with cannabis oil right now? You don't take any right now, Paul, don't you not?
No, I'm pretty much recovered now. And I'm going through clinical tests at the moment here in the United Kingdom. Like I said, I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. They've actually said that I haven't got juvenile arthritis. Now it's debatable, isn't it? Because either the use of the cannabis oils that I was using cured the arthritis, or I didn't have it. But I still have the same complaint I had as a child. So, yeah, I'm able to deal with that now. The reason why I stopped taking cannabis oil on a regular basis is because it was propping me up. I wasn't actually dealing with my personal issues. And I know you've got to, you know, I know that might not be very pharmaceutically profitable, but yeah, so that's why, from my personal level, the cannabis oil got me off all pharmaceuticals, and I used to rattle like a medicine cabinet. I really did. And got me completely clean. I worked predominantly in Spain with terminal illness, with people who were mainly cancer, others as well, but mainly cancer patients. And we had a massive success rate, massive, unbelievable. Over 85% of all people treated with terminal cancer who had been written off, I might add. There was no other treatment for these people. There's one or two who refused the treatment and took the alternative treatment first. And for them, it was also very successful. What I did notice through those 8 years, that the people who changed the mindset, the way they were living, the way they interacted with others, and the way they treated themselves, are now still alive. The cancer didn't return for them. They're still living a very healthy life without problems. The ones that didn't change the mindset, didn't change the way they lived, the cancer returned and they died. And I've lost some real good friends that I made over there through to terminal illness. So yeah, it's something that I can't ignore now. Cancer can be cured. It has been cured. There's a massive amount of research worldwide that proves this. Also other things, other diseases known as Crohn's disease, massive improvement for people with Crohn's, like almost miracle improvement with Crohn's disease. You're talking can be days, no more than weeks before they see massive improvement. One case, a gentleman was due for surgery within a week, and he started to take a full extract. And by full extract, I mean containing the full body of cannabinoids, not a CBD oil, which are often hybridized to remove certain cannabinoids. You do need high THC, to be honest. And it's curious why one's legal and the other one's not in the UK. Well, technically, it's legal. High THC oils are available in the UK under private prescription today, but not under the National Health Service. You can't get them under the National Health Service. So it's not actually illegal anymore to be treated with these things. But you do need to have a private prescription, which I haven't got. And that was another reason why I've stopped taking it. My GP, National Health GP, is quite happy for me to continue, and quite happy with the treatment that I chose to use over pharmaceuticals, which is very refreshing for a National Health GP.
And that's what I was going to say, mate. I was holding that thought there about mindset. You know, because it's not just about the oil, is it? It's about your mind. It's got to be about mindset, your heart set, your kind set, and everything. Everything's got to change with you, hasn't it? As well as adding oil.
Definitely, Jay. Like I say, the cannabis oil can put you into a position where you can heal yourself. Sleep, getting people into deep sleep. This is also kind of quite fundamental, and cannabis oils do help people with this. Again, there's more work that needs to be done, but it would appear once you can get yourself into deep REM sleep, that's like where the magic happens, if you like, Jay. That's really where it takes place. The human body is an amazing tool. There are 13 systems, not 12, and the 13th system discovered in Israel in 1972 is the endocannabinoid system. If that system becomes depleted, then any well, any of the other 12. There's only a reproduction system that can fail and you can have a long, healthy life. Okay? The species will die out, you know, but as an individual, all the others, if they fail, respiratory, pulmonary, blah, 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 fail, and including the endocannabinoid system fails, then you die.
Yeah.
You know? So why this isn't being included is beyond me. All I can say is because of pharmaceutical profit, the amount of money that's made within the other treatments, isotopes, medical isotopes, is massive. And again, Jay, I don't know. I can't answer that question. Why the endocannabinoid system, it hasn't been shared within British medicine. It is being in some countries. If it was me, I would put the research grants and education into the endocannabinoid system rather than into pharmaceutical poisoning, which is the most funded training you can actually get in the health service at this moment within the United Kingdom. So they're admitting that pharmaceuticals long-term, okay, long-term, and look, let me get this right, I'm not against this. I mean, a road traffic accident, you need pethidine and stitches, you know. It's no good putting lavender oil on somebody's temples once they've gone through a car windscreen. Yeah. You know, so I'm not opposed to it. However, if you put the lavender oil on before you got in the car, the odds are you'd be a lot more relaxed and you wouldn't have the accident. So I'm into prevention rather than curing. And that's where you get that mindset. Most definitely. If you are got a good mindset, mind, body and spirit, you know, they are one. They are one. You can't have one without the other. And if you don't look after one, they're saying it's going to fail. The old Apocryphers, they worked on a 4-body system. We've moved on a little bit now. But those made up the physical body. You can't remove one and think you're going to be healthy. You've got to look at them all. And one of those was spiritual. I think we might call that psychological now. We just changed the name.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. And this is why you're on here. You know, you're really into this, and you're a very knowledgeable man. And I certainly learned a lot off you when you were up here as well. And this is why we decided to create this podcast. This is why we decided to create something that the both of us are going to do on Mind Over Matter as well. Because Paul, like I say, he says it like he means it, and he walks the walk and he talks the talk. So what are we going to go on to now, man? Let's talk about discipline. Let's talk a wee bit about discipline, Paul.
No, not discipline. I'm rubbish.
Because I heard a quote that basically said, you know, do something like, what was that quote? Do something that you hate, but do it like you love it. I think that's right. I'm not sure. I think that's right. My mind's been terrible lately. Do something that you hate, but do it like you love it. I think that's what it is. And that's what I've had to do with this recently, mate. Obviously, my mindset and everything's been, as you know, my mental health hasn't been good. Do you know what I mean? So recently I've had to do stuff that I've hated, but I've had to do it like I've loved it, you know, and that was building a platform. That was doing this podcast tonight as well. Like, my mind hasn't been good. So what do you think of discipline? And how is that for you?
I'm not great with discipline, Jay. I must be honest. I'm really not good at disciplining myself to do things. Yeah. For me, I work on more of a creativity. Yeah. I kind of I've had a lot of things ongoing simultaneously, and as I said, I was helping a lot of other people to negate my own problems. I'm keeping myself busy so I don't look at my own issues and my own problems. Once I did recognize this and implement the esoterical training that I've had, it was profound. It really was profound. I had a bit of an issue with meditation, disciplining myself to meditate. Yeah. It became very difficult for me to meditate. And then in one attempted session, I got very clear guidance. I won't say exactly what I got. Often this when you get guidance, it speaks to you in a way you'll understand, you'll comprehend it, and it was quite harsh. But basically, I can't meditate because I am meditating constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm on, and I see that this is happening for a lot of people. So-called mental illness is often spiritual awakening. I mean, the old cliche was, doctor, I can hear voices. And the doctor says, oh, right, I'll give you something to quieten them down. Oh, no, could you make them a bit louder? I'm not quite sure what they're saying. And you know, depending what those voices are saying. And that's kind of the angle I've got to, that I need to listen to my core. I need to listen to what's going on in my physical body rather than the external world.
That's because you know what? I've been doing a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? For me, I didn't feel worthy. I felt very unworthy lately. I spoke to you about it on the phone. Obviously, you could see for where I went from, Paul, from my talking to you to my chat the other day. It's just the frequency isn't there, man. And like
deep feeling unworthiness, Jay. It's massive.
You know, the idea. I'm not as well. You know what I mean? And failure come to those who indefinitely allow themselves to become failure conscious, and it's like success conscious and all that. I was really looking into that, and do you know what I mean? My head was all over the place. I had to back off for a while, so I'm starting to build discipline up again. Do you know what I mean? Knowing that failure is only failure when you learn something from it, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm starting to go inside myself to find what's outside myself. Whether I was looking at all these external things, and I was thinking, nah, that, do you know what I mean? Wasn't working. But as you were saying with the external, let us hear about that, Paul.
For me, my discipline is breath.
Yeah.
That is my discipline. A lot of people say take one day at a time, you know, and don't worry about tomorrow because it doesn't exist and the past is gone.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's my breath, Jay. That's the top and bottom of it. I have a passion for life. For life itself, so I kind of gives me a great advantage. Mm-hmm. I can turn that into a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. I was once said under assessment that I was a good Samaritan, and unfortunately that gives you a personality disorder in the 21st century, which it is. It shows us not that I'm a bad person, but the state of the world that we're actually living in. And I don't mean the earth when I say the world we're living in. We have been led down a path where we do feel that failure, that we've got to compete, we've got to be better than the next guy or the best at something. For me, I've got to take the best breath I can take, and that will lead me to the next breath. Right, this clears everything out of my way, you see, for me, Jay. I'm not attempting to do anything. I'm not attempting to go anywhere. Of course, you know, you've got to have a little bit of ego, or else you'd be lying in the gutter and you have nowhere to live. And of course you have. These aren't negative things. But a negative ego, as I was having, I kind of climbed up and told me I couldn't do this. Well, breathe, ego.
Yeah.
What's my ego going to do if I ain't breathing? Well, it perishes. I recognize that what a lot of people call the soul. Well, my soul, I'm its greatest prize. For my soul to have unification with me is the greatest thing my soul could ever get. You know, there is nothing else. So for me to be grounded and focused within myself, acknowledge my breath, that's my discipline.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so simple. It is incredibly difficult for a lot of people to accept how simple it is. We're breathing. Let that be your first thanks. Mm-hmm. You know, let that be your first thanks. And then being aware of my verbal affirmation, what I'm saying, what I'm speaking. My body can hear this. My body knows this. The intention behind what I'm saying is coming from that breath. So for me, it settles me at my core. I don't have to compete. And in doing that, I know I am worthy. I am worthy of that breath. I am worthy of that breath. And and if you've got any doubt, if anybody thinks, oh, that's a bit kooky, then hold your breath. Hold your breath and see how long it is before your body goes, click, breathe.
Yeah.
And you will breathe. And when you do breathe, you'll take a breath. Your breath should be coming from the bottom of your ribs up until your shoulders move. And a lot of us aren't doing that. We're having shallow breathing.
Yep.
And when we're scared, people will notice this. When you're scared, often your breathing goes, and you take those shallow breaths. So, it's programming of the physical body and allowing the center, my core. A lot of people may call it the heart chakra. That's not the physical heart, of course. It's the center of your being. If you take your fingers and tap your chest, you'll hear it go hollow. That's what we're talking about. Also where the central immune system is activated from. So for me, that's it. As above, so below. Heaven and hell, I turn it the other way around. When I get up into my head, it's hell. So heaven's beneath me, heaven's above. If I bring it into the center, I'm centered, I'm balanced, I'm able to manifest my heart's desire. Not my mind's desire, my heart's desire. This can tell me anything. It'll lie to me. It'll cheat. It'll tell me this. It'll tell me the other. It'll tell me there's fairy people at the bottom of the garden who are going to come and put it all right. Or the mythical sky fairy. Get me waiting into that future where eventually there is no breath and God is not going to sort it out for me. Like I say, I'm not a religious man. If anything, I was put here, just to appease the people who are believers. I was put here by the one they believe in. I think you've got to have self-worth. You've got to have self-respect and give thanks for this physical body that I'm currently resident in and speaking to you out of.
No, that's it, because we when we were on that journey, we were talking a lot about self, weren't we? Because that's what it starts with. And right now, with the way I was feeling, I haven't got a lot of that self because I was missing the self-worth. I was missing the self-care. I was missing the self-realization and everything else. But now, as we're talking about here, I'm starting to get myself centered. Today, I went a bike ride. I got my hair cut. Now I'm starting to think about self, and now I'm starting to get that balance.
You've never had any hair to cut, Jay. What are you on about? You've had your hair cut. You never had any.
But I'm starting to get balanced now, brother. I'm starting to get balanced now. And you know what? This is the first time I've laughed like that because I know the energy that you bring me. And
focus has got to be internal, Jay. You've got to focus. We're trained to do it. People can't take full responsibility for that. Right from the onset, we're taught we're not worthy. We find out we've broken the rules after we've broken the rules, and we start to focus outside into the world we live in, and we negate ourselves. Vitally important to recognise the self, Jay. Vitally important. We are part of it. Whatever you may think of yourself, you are part of this. Bigger experience that I believe we're all empathically connected together. And if one of us isn't having a good time, then that's contributing to the bad times of everybody. So, I truly, I know that to be true. Once I'm, like I say, I'm centered at my core, I can get on and things can happen and things manifest around me. I mean, literally manifest around me, whether that be homes or finances, people that are required in my life. Opposed to those people who are going to come and feed upon me, drain me down. You do need that positive criticism. And we've both been guilty of beating one another with positive criticism. We really have, yeah.
Totally. And sometimes going too much. But, that's when I feel as if when I manifest a lot is when I'm centered, man. When I've got self right, I'm manifesting everything that I can. Right now, I can't do that because I'm so out of balance right now with my mental health and everything else. But I know from what we are talking about and what we have spoken about back then, which is our past, now we're bringing it into the future. We're bringing it into now, and this is what we're doing. Myself and Paul are trying to create things that are going to speak to people in so many different ways. Do you know what I mean? And through knowledge, through our own understanding, because Paul's a very, very knowledgeable man. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Because Paul only puts his time and effort into something that he believes in, and he believes in mind over matter, and I totally believe in what Paul's doing as well.
I believe in you, Jay. Yeah, I believe you can do it, man. I truly believe you can pull this together and do
it.
The
people to make people think. This is it. This is it. You know.
Yeah, totally. You have to be. You have to be an example, Jay. You have to be an example.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do it for them, but you can't. And if the more you stop trying, the more you allow things to manifest. Often we are pushing again, focusing externally again, and when you're focusing outwardly, then you're pushing things away. As you focus inwardly, it allows things to come to you. But again, that word of warning, and some of the things that come into your life, they may not be coming in for the reasons why you want them in your life. So that learning process, most definitely ongoing for all of us.
Never. Question love all the time, man. Question love.
Well, I'm unable to, man. When love comes into my life, it just kind of, it's like the baseball bat and the ball, and I'm the ball. You know, I really have. I've made that mistake on many occasions, but I must love myself. And you know, like attracts like. And if I've been uneasy in myself, fearful of myself, I'm going to attract people who are uneasy and fearful. And when you bring that together, it often ends in an explosive event, which I'm really aware of, and I'll navigate around those as best I can. But yeah, you once you get, like I say, you're balanced and you start to manifest, you'll be amazed the number of people who come in who can't do it. That's going to say all we can do at best is, I suppose, instruct other people, share with our path and what we've done in the hopes that they implement that to themselves. Yeah. And like I say, on a worldly sense, on an earthly sense, rapid change can actually blossom. I mean, literally, within moments. For me, it's one breath to the next breath, and the world itself and the earth I live on can change irreparably.
Yeah, that's it. And as I say on here in Mind Over Matter, mate, like these podcasts, these videos that I do, these are 1% information, they're 99% implementation. Whatever you want to take away from this, you take away from it and implement it in your life. Because like we were talking about there, like we're talking about self-love and self-care, if you don't have that balance right, you know, you won't manifest what you really, really want, you know, especially love. And right now, with the way I'm so imbalanced, I'm like, you know, everything's passing me, but at the same time, for me right now, I see it as a test. I see this as a test for me, Paul, right now, because I think
you should stop testing yourself, Jay.
But I know
I really do.
Yeah, because I know, being an ex-addict, that the thoughts that were going through my head, where you need to start taking Valium, you need to start taking this to get better. But my mindset, like we were talking about earlier on, my mindset has been built up so much that I've not went back down that route, you know. And that's what I say to people. Things will be here to test you. You'll start to feel failure. You'll start to feel unworthy. You'll start to feel all these. But when you're centered,
you get a chance. You can see it coming. If nothing, Jay, you get a chance. Yeah. You know, as that unworthiness approach you recognise it. You can step to one side and let it pass you by. Yeah. You know, rather than crunk, it's on you straight away. And I mean, for me, my earlier symptoms. Well, you just read the back of the packet, you know, may cause suicidal tendencies. Hang on a minute, I'm a bit depressed, I'm a bit anxious, I'm a bit nervous about what. Well, look at the world we live in. Look at what goes on around us in the world we live in. If you're not anxious, nervous, or a little bit, you know, upset with what's going on currently on Earth, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know, does that need medicating? In most cases, I don't believe so. I'm not saying there aren't severe cases where people do need assistance. You know, cannabinoids remove opioids. You know, they remove them from the body. Opioids and cannabinoids can be used simultaneously without causing that addiction. So they remove one, which creates addiction. So, you know, in a lot of cases, like I say, people have got to be responsible for themselves, but they can't take full responsibility for how they ended up in the position. They were led there, giving up our power to other people, the doctor, thinking that our well-being or my well-being is somebody else's responsibility.
Oh,
It's
sure,
ludicrous.
that's
Of course
like,
it is.
we take the power. We were talking about that when we were away. We need to fucking take the power back, Paul. We need
Yes.
to take our own power back.
Yeah.
By in heart and mind and soul. Do you know what I mean? Because we do, some of us, you know, well, I looked at myself, always blame myself. But in a way, that was true in a way, because I chose that. I chose that to go down that path in a way. But we need to take the control back and the power back to go, do you know what? This is mine now.
Yes,
this is where I am. I'm going on this journey. You know,
you're responsible now.
Yeah, I'm
Take responsibility back.
Yeah.
For your health, your wealth, and your well-being. Definitely, we have to take that responsibility back. We relinquish that power, as you say, to others, partners, our children, our employees or employers, the doctor, the policeman, you know, the teacher in school, the headmaster. You know, you will notice older people, when they get, men especially, when they get threatened, they'll put their hands behind the back and cross them. Yeah. That's because it's through caning.
Yeah.
You know, that somebody in authority comes, they put their hands behind the back, they're getting ready. I know they're not going to cane you now, but it's that muscle memory, literally in the physical body. So it's not something, like I say, for me now, it's each breath, but it didn't start like that.
No.
You know, it started with me waking up, catatonic, my hands cramped up, my legs cramped up, my body cramped up, could hardly move, I had to crawl to the toilet. And it was horrendous. But slowly but surely, I'm regaining that strength back into the physical body. You know, I'm regaining that, like you say, the mind, the body, and the spirit working together as one, not being separate. As when you go to your GP, you know, oh, there's something wrong with your head. He can't deal with you. Like your head's not part of a general practice. Of course it is. I can't take my head off and leave it at the side of the table while I go out to work. You know, he's got to come with me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I say, I'm not having a go at the way that modern medicine actually works. It is negating certain things. It certainly is. And the endocannabinoid system being the most obvious, blatant, you know, denial. It's as if they're just denying it. Like taking your car into a motor mechanic and say, oh, you don't need wheels. Mm-hmm. What? I've got to have wheels in my car. And if you kept going back to that mechanic, and another motor mechanic one that I was shared with a while ago was, you've got banging in your car, a knocking, ding, 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 ding. And you go into the motor mechanic and he says, tries it out, comes back, he says, puts cotton wool in your ears. And you pay and think, oh, it's brilliant. The knocking's gone. And you pay him £20 and you drive along, you think it's great until the cotton wool falls out your ear and you go back to the mechanic. If that was a doctor, mm-hmm. he'd get away with it repeatedly.
Yeah.
There's no point, you know, keep going in. If your motor mechanic did that, you'd be like, hang on a minute, I can still hear it. That doesn't work. But doctors, they get away with it repeatedly. Does it make them bad? I don't think so. It's what they've got to work with. Yeah. That's the system they've come through. And that's the same for us. That's like that reset, Jay. It's coming back to yourself, finding yourself, and then progressing from there. Often, what a lot of people say is you've got to hit rock bottom. You've got to hit rock bottom before you can get up. The conversation we had, which still sticks with me, is hopefully what we can pass on is you don't have to hit rock bottom. There is no rock bottom. You know, life is eternal. It's a beautiful experience we're all on, rather than where we are currently at this moment in time, where there's a lot of people, it isn't so great for them. There is abundance on this planet. That abundance should be shared. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. In the 21st century, there really isn't.
Yeah, that's true. So true, mate. We all can get a piece of it. But this is for the next generation, our children's children. You know what I mean? Like I say, we need to be passing on to them all, the knowledge onto them. We learn the lessons, you know, we create the thoughts, and then we teach. We pass on the knowledge. Do you know what I mean? That's what we all need to be honest. We need to be teachers. Because I certainly want my son, you know, to learn about things like this, you know, to learn about platforms like this and what knowledge we're spreading out here, because it's so important. It's so important that people are thinking this way. We need to be open-minded. We need to be so open-minded with stuff, because I don't want a son sitting in front of an Xbox for the rest of his years and watching TV and getting programmed. I want him to be coming on to things like this and listening to guys like me, maybe yourself, myself. You know, how important is it, Paul?
I think for the parent to be as stable, Kaylee and Gibran said it actually many years ago, and that your children are not your children. They live in the house of tomorrow, and like arrows fired on the path of the infinity. Let you be the bow in the archer's hand, and the bow that is stable is loved by the archer. Now I might not got that quite right, but I get the flavour of it. So we have got to be the bow. Our children are the arrows, and if that bow isn't stable, that arrow won't fly true, no matter how good the arrow is. So I think that's what we've got to do. And you know, we might be selling ourselves short here, Jay. You know, maybe, and I've often thought this, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe we need to take a leaf out of the children's book.
Definitely.
Rather than try to teach them this complete bull that we've had to grow up with. Maybe we should look towards them. If you take a group of 3-year-old children and you put them together, they don't have a problem with race or creed or colour. You know, they don't even recognise if a child's disabled. They all play together. They just play together. And I think that being more childlike without being childish, and that we can grow up as a race of people on Earth. We can start to ground the adult human consciousness into these bodies that we all possess. I think and that could be, well, that lives in the house of tomorrow at the moment, and that's only us bringing it into today. So I think we may be projecting that into the future, and also putting that responsibility onto our children to solve. Again, I think it's vitally important that this book stops with us. We don't pass it on. We've got to be as best we possibly can. And if we want any real teaching, look towards the children.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's what I've been trying to do recently, mate, is connect with my inner child. Do you know what I mean? Because I know for a fact, recently, I've not been smiling. Do you know what I mean? I've not been doing it. And just to go back, even just what I've done is recently, obviously, I've took time off my study. As you know, mate, my head's been all over the place. What did I do? I went back. The other day, I watched Back to the Future, right? Back to the Future. That connected me with my inner child right away because I was laughing again. I was smiling. I was remembering back to the day. And that's what we need to do, don't we? We need to connect with that inner child, man.
Triggers can come from everywhere, those positive triggers, and identifying those triggers in life. Like I say, we are projecting externally. And once you relax, often you'll find yourself feeling better about yourself. If it is a TV program, I mean, I'm not big on the television, a candle, a flickering light. If you relax on a flickering light, within 22 to 45 minutes, you'll have a brainwave pattern shift. And that's why they put adverts on every 22 to 45 minutes, because we're more susceptible to the suggestion that we need to go out and buy a bottle of pop or you know, whatever it is. So it's not that what we're speaking of is mumbo jumbo or hocus pocus or magical. It's been used systematically to program us into a way of thinking which divides us. It conquers us. As individuals, you become divided. You've got my mental, my physical, it's one body, one people, one planet, with a multitude of diversity, which I love. You know, I really love. None of us are identical. We're all different. And I think that is the only difference, that we must experience what we're experiencing uniquely. Other than that, we're pretty identical. We are pretty identical.
That's it. We're all experiencing something. We're all on a journey, man. We are all on a journey. And we know that because we've spoke about it. We've spoke about so much. We've spoke about putting the world to rights, like I said earlier on. You know, and the thing is about our journeys, they're so separate, but they're connected so well.
Well, again, empathy. Empathy. You know, we are all connected together. This is my structure, is that we're all connected together. And if you try and make a connection, you're actually making it worse. You're making a judgment. You know, when things happen to us, we need to put the mind to one side and allow the feelings to ride first. Feelings are our internal guidance. The mind, once you rise up into your body, that's for targeting out there in what's going on in the world. So, yeah, I do think that this is the reason why we do all connect, or some people like me and yourself, Jay, we did connect very fast, and we've slowed this right up. We've slowed it. We jump about when we're having a call all over the place. Bang, bang. We're all over the place. And like you say, it is like switching something on, switching something off, and then eventually switching all the lights on.
Yeah.
All of them.
We learn off each other so much, don't we? Like, and that's what I try to say to people. You know, everybody can talk, but the trick is to listen. We listen to each other. Not only listen, but we're in tune. We're on the same vibration. Yeah.
Then we're having reaction rather than a thought based.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is, and you know that trip to Loch Lomond has definitely made me find myself. In what way? Tell us how enlightening it was for you. How enlightening was it? You know.
Well, it was like my reset, Jay. A lot of people might know this, but I went back again. I went back, and I actually found a set of stone circles about an hour's drive further north from Loch Lomond. And that's where it happened for me. Again, it was part of the journey. I had to get there. I think in some senses you have to be a bit lost to be found. And I kind of found myself. I kind of found myself in that stone circle. And it really was about me being centered and me being happy in myself. Like you say, the child within. Not being too serious about the world, and removing the doormat that I'd installed on myself. I was allowing people to use and abuse me. I was, and I had to close that door quite profoundly. And I had problems with that. I must admit, because that had happened maybe three months ago. Right, that's enough. Close the door. Out you go. And becoming content with that. That had happened to me. So yeah, not judging myself, Jay, for my previous interactions, accepting my own worthiness. I think that's what was triggered at Loch Lomond, and eventually me travelling north had a massive about to do with it, and more so the journey. You see, it was the journey. I'm driving along in the camper van. It's just me trundling along. And when I get somewhere, I meet up with somebody like yourself, and that's kind of like the processing then. What has actually gone on is the journey. It's the journey for me, Jay, what's kind of put things right. And of course, to meet somebody at the other end that was so like-minded was pretty phenomenal. Not only we were like-minded, but the situations we were in, the positions we were in, the people around us that we're in. Very reflective, Jay. It was often, you know, if you were a bit better looking and a bit taller, I could swear I was looking at myself in the mirror. And the kilt, you've no kilt. I was disappointed that you're not wearing a kilt. Scotsmen should wear kilts. I bought myself a kilt on the second journey up there.
Brother, we tried to, because I was looking on the phone constantly to try and get your kilt. You never got that one.
No.
You got it. No. After, didn't you?
I did, man. Yeah, I did. So yeah, I actually got one off the internet. Actually, Jay, that's what I'm. The first one I got off the internet, because I just wanted to do it. I'm not weird. I'm not weird. I'm not before anybody says anything. I'm not strange. I'm a kind of like base normal guy. But yeah. I'm making it now, and I've been joking with it. Well, I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. I'm saying to the lads at Dark City and James Norton, who's actually streaming this before we started, I said, I've got to get your kilt. It's now the Dark City official dress code. You have to wear a kilt. But yeah, Jay, it's doing something different. It's doing something different at what you haven't done before, and not being fearful of that. Life should be an adventure. It should be an adventure. We should enjoy it.
Richie's begin with a state of mind, but let me tell you what Richie's I'm talking about. Knowledge, man. Knowledge, self. That's your riches. And this is what we're trying to offer on platforms like here. And life is strange and imponderable, man. Do you know what I mean? Life is strange and imponderable. But do you know what? We have connected so well. And now we want to offer people a platform to listen. All you need to do is listen, man. And we can offer the knowledge and the power and everything else that you guys need, especially Dark City as well. You know what I mean? Because this is why you're here, brother. You're an absolute diamond. You're an absolute, you know, knowledgeable guy. I love you. You know I love you.
I've just lived it, Jay. I've just lived it. You know, it's my knowledge comes from the things I've done, which have worked for me. I'm not saying that this will work for everybody. There's other things out there that will work for them. But certain parts of it are fundamental that I've picked up on, and you can't get by without doing it. So why not use the things we have to do, we can't avoid, as the basis of it? Why not use the breath? You can't shout your breath down. You can't argue with your breath. You know, why not listen to the physical body? You know, why not? It's that we've all got one. So yeah, for me, it's just you call it knowledge. For me, I call it experience. And that's what I've worked with. It's what's worked with me, and more so what hasn't worked for me.
Yeah. Knowledge, experience, moments. That's what I'm saying. Life is strange and important. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, just go through it. We've got to get through this life. You know, we only get one shot here. Me and Paul have been talking about that for a while. You know, we only get one shot. So why not do what you can do now? Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting to move forward?
With the dream.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Do it before you're ready. That's what I say. Get it done before you're ready. Because when you start it now, that's when it will count, man. And that's
well, you've got the ears on me, haven't you, Jay? You've got the ears on me. You know, I'm getting a bit long in the tooth now, but it hasn't changed that. You know, it really hasn't changed. I do concur with exactly what you're saying. It's you're never too old to begin, and in a perfect way, in a perfect world, then the children would never become us. We would have remained those children, and we would have come through life, and that would have given us that manifestation of what's required, rather than what we believe we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, this has made me so happy tonight, because do you know what? As you know, I've been feeling like utter shit. And it's good to see your face, brother. It's good to hear your voice, and you know what I mean? Because obviously we talk over the phone a lot, but it's good to just see your face again. It's making me really happy. And today, you know, I get out the house for the third time today, you know what I mean? And went and get a haircut, like I say, and just, I love you, brother. You know, I love you. You know,
I get it, man. Yeah, I get it, bro.
When we connected, when you come up here, like you come all the way up here to see me, and I'll never, ever forget that, brother. Never.
Well, you know, you pick things up in life sometimes, and certain things are needed to be done, and we had the opportunity to do it. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Why not? You know, exactly. That we live in a world full of fear, a world full where people are masked up, you know, I'm going to get this is going to happen, you know, and I often say to people, well, I'm part of the revolution, I'm part of the rebellion, you know, I've got an immune system. And I've got a system that's you know, works perfectly well. So why would I need to be running around fearful of something, you know? I can understand why my grandparents ran into the bomb shelter. You know, I can understand, because things fell out of the sky that could kill them. But, you know, like I say, we are being manipulated en masse to believe that there's something out there going to get us. In my experience, the only thing I need to fear here on this planet is me.
Is yourself.
I'm the only one. Yeah.
We're only a danger to yourself, man.
That's dead right. That's dead right. And if you go out looking for something that's going to hurt you, you're going to manifest it. That's what's going to happen. You know, if you go out into life looking for something which is beneficial to yourself and others, and you can get ego out of the way. You know, there's a few ways to get that ego out of the way, and I'm sure we'll get along those lines in subsequent shows. That you can, because sometimes ego can be leading you down a path, whether for good or for bad, and removing the good and bad. You know, often, and I did this with you, Jay. Are you a good boy or a bad boy? Oh, I'm a good boy. No, you're not. You're a boy who's just been put under demand, because that's not a choice. That is a demand.
Yes.
You know, and that's systematically happened through our lives until we get to a point where we're defending a demand as our own free choice. So we have got a way to go. We have got a way to go. You're not free to breathe. You don't get a choice. You either breathe or you don't.
Yeah.
So I like that. I don't need to have a choice. I've got a life. I'm thankful for that life. And, you know, it's, don't get me wrong, it all hasn't been nice. I've had some real hard times, you know, but it's that confidence in myself, faith, actually, not confidence, because I've lost all confidence before.
Yeah.
Faith in myself, not to give it up. And a lot of people go through the 12-step recovery, and I think it's a brilliant step to go through. I just want them to add the 13th step, self-empowerment. Rather than handing that over, you know, to something else, take back that power and become whole, you know, truly whole. And then you leave recovery. You are recovered. Yeah. And that's where we should have all been right from the beginning, Jay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know there's no doubt, mate, I'm still on that road to recovery. Do you know what I mean? Every single fucking day, man. But I know from self, like we're talking about, you know, by taking the power back, then I can come fully out of that, Paul. You know what I mean? Definitely.
I know you can. Yeah.
100%.
I know you can. I wouldn't have driven all that way to meet up with you and do all that if I had any doubt about that. And I think sometimes I've got more confidence in you being able to do it than you have in yourself, you know, and that's reflected back now at me thinking, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, I can do it. Well, everybody can do it, but do they want to do it? Are you ready to ground your physical body into this earth beneath you? Have you built up resistance in your body? Have you got muscle memory that tells you you're not worthy, you know, that you can't or you can? So we have got work to do on the physical body. And as you do that work on the physical body, then you do ground what they call the God self into your physical, and it becomes resident here on earth. Full unification of mind, body, and soul. You know, mind, body, subconscious, and conscious. Yeah. Once subconscious mind makes a connection with conscious mind, you become conscious, and there's no need for the subconscious any longer. You don't have your old laptop running in the corner when you buy your new laptop. You upgrade. And we've downgraded for a long period of time. We've got everything we need within the physical body, and we can become upgraded in a single breath.
Yeah. Guys, that's what we're talking about. Our breath. Get that next breath, man. Every single one of you out there. This is what we're talking about. Make sure you're going on to that next breath every step of the way and going through life. You know, this has been a beautiful chat, man. This has, and we're going to do this regular. You know what I mean? Me and Paul, because like we say, you know, we love talking to each other, but we also love spending. Yeah.
Like playing tennis sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. And the reason why I've not been as frequent in my chat tonight is because I really want people out there to get to know Paul. Because Paul is a dear friend of mine now. And we, although we've just connected recently, it's like we've been friends for a...
Ancestral. Somebody mentioned to me it's ancestral. Somebody posted a good friend actually, who's helped me daily just recently, get out of my doldrums, you know. I went through quite a traumatic event and they've helped me massively come through that. And it's ancestral. It really does feel like genetically, ancestrally, there's more to this than we're actually currently aware of. And I don't want to go against myself or others. And I definitely don't want to go against those that maybe stood behind me in the past, willing me forward at this time. So ancestral, I think, Jay, we have been, maybe we faced one another on an ancient field of combat, or maybe we stood side by side. But whatever it was, we are now emissaries working together for the greater good of all. I feel that when I speak it.
Oh, definitely, man. That's all it's ever been about, Paul, is the greater good of all. And this is what we're trying to spread here in Mind Over Matter. This is what Paul will be trying to spread in, you know, his project. And yeah, man, power. Everything starts with a thought, guys. This is how you become so good at what you're doing, what Paul's doing, the knowledge he's spreading. You know, everything starts with a thought. And we will all get there together. And we'll all be putting arms around each other at some point, you know. Because that's what it's about for me. It's about being as one. you know, and moving these platforms forward together, you know. Moving as one.
We need more physical contact. We need to meet up more and talk in person. We have a massive bond now because we've done that. And these platforms are great. You know, they are brilliant. But the more people we can gather together, the more they can share that on a personal level, the stronger that bond becomes. And again, why you can see so much is working against that, keeping us confined, keeping us away from one another. You know, it is like there's a massive counterculture ongoing on Earth at the moment to actually stop this happening. That's why I say, don't be so hard on yourself, people. You can't take full responsibility for what's going on around us, but you can take full responsibility for yourself.
Take it for yourself, man. That's exactly it. All we need to take, and this is what I've done recently. I've took responsibility, you know, and we've spoke about it as well. This has been beautiful, mate. I'm dying to keep going on here, but we try.
Well, we got to cut them short. We'll give all the secrets away, and nobody will tune into the next one.
That's it, brother. You know, and that's why I've kept quite quiet because I want everybody to get to know my dear friend, and you know, he's a guy that's got a massive place in my heart. You've helped me through a lot of things recently as well. You know, with your words of wisdom, and I'm always listening to you, brother. You know that as well. You know, I'm always learning off you, and you learn off me, but mostly because of who you are, I learn off you the most. That's what it's all about, because, you know, you are obviously working in a different vibration for me at the moment. I'm just trying to get back up to that level. You know what I mean? It's just coming, it's coming again. You know?
You're doing it again. You're putting yourself on a different level. We're all together. We're all together, bro. Stop that. Look, I may have the words of wisdom. To use your words, I may have the words of wisdom, but you've got to apply them.
Yeah,
and you've applied them. And once you apply them, your wisdom, collectively, our wisdom becomes beyond either of us.
Yeah.
So that's where we've got to be, Jay. It's not higher or lower. It's not better or worse. It's together. We've got to be together doing that. And also recognize the things that aren't productive for you. It doesn't mean they're not going to be productive for the next person. You know, what works for you. Rather than, like I say, and what doesn't work for you. It's pretty black and white, you know? And once you get rid of all that black and white, that not taking a choice, not going up or down, it becomes technicolored. It really does become technicolored. And those things then can come into your life that truly do benefit us all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You benefit from me, brother.
Thank you. It's nice to be appreciated, man, even if you're only one. It's nice to be
brother, you know, I appreciate you. Don't you worry about that. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this podcast tonight. Myself and Paul will be doing something quite regular as well. You know what I mean? We've got a lot of big plans. We've got, especially for my platform and for his. But at the same time, you know, your knowledge is welcome here anytime, brother. And you know that. You know you're a mind over matter. You're a mindset warrior. You're a mental wealth warrior from day one. From day one, man, you know what I mean? And although we've just connected right now, it feels as if it's been, you know, forever. And I'm very grateful, bro. Very grateful. Is there anything you want to say before you leave?
No, not really. Just, you know, keep breathing, everyone. Keep breathing.
Keep breathing, you know. Guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I do appreciate it. And I hope you've took a little minutiae detail away from this podcast. And, you know, guys, you have showed nothing but love through the comments there for Paul. So, yeah, great to see both of you smiling. Made my day. From Gary Thompson. Gary's come on leaps and bounds. Amazing chap. He really has. He's implementing it. Getting on with it, man. This has been an excellent podcast. Really made me think. That's what it's all about. Amazing podcast. Leanne, thank you. And this is what we're trying to do, guys. We're trying to make you think here. You know, Paul, can you send that saying through, please? What saying's that? Gary, let us know.
Go.
Exactly, man. It's just, you know what I mean? Once it's in the ether, it's done. Do you know what I mean? Like,
rewind and play it again. Yeah.
That's that, the mental health runner. Good evening, Sean. Got a little comment here. A good mindset can change lots of things, but I still have my bad days like everybody else. But that's you acknowledging it, Michelle. You, like we were talking about earlier on, you're acknowledging you've got good days. Do you know what I mean? You know, make sure you keep doing that. It's so important that we do that. Let's say the less I'm taking, the more power I feel I'm getting. That's good. That's good. That's what we want. Let's see this one. Paul, can you see these comments, brother?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Can you see these? So, perseverance with meditating. Also, yoga. If anyone needs help with this, what's your take? Meditation, Paul. You've done a lot of that over the years, haven't you, man?
Yeah. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Repeat it, and once you've got it, stop the ritual. You know, it's quite easy to build up a ritual, and then you think you can't do it without the meditation. But you've got to get there first. So yeah, meditation, I would totally agree with. Yoga, I'll get there. Used to be really flexible, martial arts as a kid, but you know, I've let that go. I really have. But yeah, meditation, I'm a true believer.
This is my sister. This is my sister, Paul Elaine.
Oh,
give her a little wave, man. Brilliant. But yeah, listen, we're all on this journey. Let's see this one. Deja vu, or have you spoke of this? We've been speaking about this for a long time. It's just came to this podcast, and this is it, man. This is the start. This is the start of something special. But guys, thank you to all the comments. Let's see this one. I need cannabis oil for my so-called arthritis instead of pills. What do you think of that, Paul?
Totally agree. I like I say, whether or not I had arthritis or not, cannabis oils, and that's a full extract THC oil. That works. Not against the CBD stuff. It does, but it's short term. It's short term, and it tricks your endocannabinoid system to thinking it's now getting it. So yeah, and often it can be worse afterwards. So yeah, we've been sold it. We've been sold that by the corporate system. And I think it's such a shame that so many people have jumped on that corporate bandwagon now, opposed to the natural plant, which you can make your own extraction from, and it costs next to nothing. And it is now available under private prescription here in the UK. Very expensive to do when you can consider that you can grow this for, buy a packet of seeds for £20 and produce what you need for your entire year for that. Where the initial consultation, I believe, is nearly £300 just for a consultation. So yeah, I totally agree. Cannabis oil in a tincture or even as a cream works really good as a cream. If you don't get benefits, then you're dead, literally, already. So I'm a great advocate. Although I'm not using it myself, I'm still a great advocate within full extract oils, definitely.
There we go. We're beautiful souls, Paul. Thank you very much, sister. We that's all we want to be, is beautiful souls in this world that we're living in. All the external stuff going on around us, we need to live more internally, guys. Find what's inside ourselves to find what's outside ourselves. That's all I ever say, because most of us are really focusing on what's outside ourselves right now. We're focusing on so much external bullshit, don't we, Paul?
Definitely. Bring it internal, eternal, short-lived. Focusing outwardly, very short-lived. Massive amounts of energy going out there. Your energy comes from the center of your core and it's spreading out. Make it eternal and you will be eternal.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, this has been beautiful, man. Right, guys, we're going to wrap this up here. Thank you for tuning in. This has been amazing because my mental health's been terrible over the last few weeks and over the course of last week. I'm smiling today. I feel happy because I've got my brother on and we're talking about great things, and I hope you've took so much away for this. Paul, where can we find you, brother?
Where can you find me? Well, I'm here. I'm here. You can get me through. Where can you get me? You can get me on Facebook. You can ring me up on 0161 298 0298. That's the Dark City Outline number. That's 0161 298 0298. And we'll even ring you back free of charge, even on a mobile on that call. And yeah, you find me on Facebook under Paul Hayden. You find me at Dark City under Dark City Bob or DC Bob. So yeah, I'm making myself available. I am going to do some sessions like you do yourself, Jay. I've not got that. We've only just set up the Patreon site. 4 days ago. I mean, literally, we're on the roll with it. So there is a Patreon site, and that's Dark City TV. I'm supposed to mention that. I'm not, like I say, not very good at selling things.
Yeah. And Paul's going to have we were talking about Paul having his own show here one night per week, weren't we? We were talking about you maybe coming on and speaking, because, you know, you definitely have a lot to offer in terms of value as well. And, you know, obviously I would love to be on your platform. We'll be doing that anyway, brother. Do you know
you are. This is being simulcast onto Dark City TV as we speak. This is being picked up, transmitted onto Facebook, Dark City Radio TV, because we've kicked that back into gear within the last few days. It's also going out onto Hydroponics for Life, where I very first started. We couldn't get the others active. And that was the first thing I kind of put out there, the free food system. And we've worked with free food, free fuel, free land, and free medicine. It can be done. You've got to put the effort in. But if you do, we can live that life. We truly can. I've lived it.
Yeah. Paul, thank you very much, man. Listen, guys, for anybody out there that's tuned in, thank you. For anybody that's shared this podcast, all that's left for me to say is we've been Mind Over Matter and Dark City Projects. I'm Jay, and this is Not So Silent Bob. God bless you all, man. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Mind Over Matter podcast is sponsored by Village Blinds. Village Blinds is an independent, family-owned business with branches in East Kilbride, Bells Hill and Clarkston. With over 30 years' experience, their mission is simple: to provide each and every one of their customers with the highest quality blinds at an affordable price. Check out Village Blinds on Facebook.